Hello, dear friends. Today we are going to learn one of the most important life processes. By now, we have discussed nutrition, transportation, respiration, and one more important processes that required by living organism to get rid from the toxic waste that are produced in the cells and the body of living organism during the metabolism that we call excretion. Yes, the organism, if they are unicellular, they get rid of their nitrogenous waste, they throw out that material simply by the diffusion. Yeah, this we know that diffusion is a process where that material move from its higher concentration to lower concentration. The other metabolic activities that they generate carbon dioxide during respiration, it is also removed from our body in case of unicellular organism, in case of plant by simple diffusion, while in case of human being there is a respiratory system or breathing system. So what is this excretion? Now let me talk. Excretion is defined as the biological process that involve the removal of this harmful metabolic waste from the body of excretion. I like one more definition, and that explains it is the process in which the metabolic waste which is accumulated in the multicellular organism in the body, its separation, accumulation and elimination. Yeah, the toxic waste, they are produced in each and every cell and they are taken to the bloods, and from blood then it is filtered out, and then it is accumulated, concentrated, and then it is removed. So three important steps are involved in this excretion that we are going to learn in the incoming learning. Different organism of course use the different strategies. As I told you, the simple living organism, they are using the diffusion, but in case of multiple complex organism like human being, a very systematic system we call as an excretory system is evolved, and that helps in the diffusion of excretion of this material. Now this is the excretory system of human being, and you can observe here some of the parts. They are particularly the pair of kidneys. Here one kidney is taken the longitudinal section, then pair of ureters. These are the very fine, very microscopic narrow tubes that come out of the urine and comes out of the kidneys and carries urine to the urinary bladder. Then there is one urinary bladder, then there is urethra. So these are the four important components of excretory system. And another important aspect we have to also understand here, these are the blood vessels. This is the inferior vena cava and this is a artery. Now try to understand, it's very interesting. Here the artery carries the toxic blood or blood that contain nitrogenous waste in high concentration. Okay, so it is artery, but still it carries the toxicated blood having high concentration of nitrogenous waste, urea, uric acid, minerals, certain substances, excessive vitamins, creatinine that is produced in our muscle sometime. And when this artery carries this blood and gives to the kidney filter that blood, separate the nitrogenous waste and remove, dissolved in the form of water, and then purified filter blood is then taken back by this blood vessel that called as renal vein. This will be called renal artery. So renal artery carries the blood towards the kidney, gives to the kidney, and within the kidney it is filtered, and the filter purified blood then carries back to once again to the body through this blood vessel that we called as renal vein. So renal vein carries purest blood, we can say, ever. That's important aspect. For your better understanding, I have tried to show you the longitudinal section of the kidney in the enlarged manner, where you can observe here it is a artery which is divided into number of arterioles and finer branches and distributed within this kidney. The outer part is called as cortex, and the middle part is called as medulla. In the medulla, you can see these are the triangular pyramids. They are called as renal pyramids, and in these renal pyramids are present the actual structural and functional unit of the kidney that are responsible for filtration of the blood to remove the nitrogenous waste, and these are called nephron. Okay, they are called as uriniferous tubules, and in each kidney about 1.2, yes, it is very high number, 1.2 million nephrons are present, and this each nephron is then effectively filtering the blood in a very systematic manner and removing the nitrogenous waste in the form of urine. Then after filtering that blood, the purified blood is carried with the help of this renal vein, and in this way the renal artery carries the blood with the nitrogenous waste. The filtering unit inside this kidney arranged in the form of renal pyramids, they are called as nephron, filter this blood, and purified filter blood is then carried back by the renal vein. Then what is the collected water along with the nitrogenous waste and other impurities? They are carried through this it is called a ureter. It is called a kind of vessel. It is kind of very narrow tubule which carries this urine which is get collected into the urinary bladder. So ureters are the pair of very long, very fine structure that carries the urine drop by the process of peristalsis. Yeah, here also urine is sent from kidney to the urinary bladder drop by the process of peristalsis. Now urinary bladder is a muscular sac-like structure which can expand and therefore can store urine temporarily for the certain period of time. Then it is having a little elongated tubular structure. It is called urethra. In case of male excretory system, urethra is elongated and passing through the penis, while urethra is very short in case of female. Urinary bladder can extend and can store urine up to 500 milliliter to 900 milliliter, and after that there is one urinary orifice which is controlled by our nervous system, and whenever we feel it to release this urine, that process called micturition, we release the urine. So this is all about the excretory system of human being, okay, which is consisting all this component. You can watch this video again and again and you can understand and you can write about it. Okay, now let me go talking about important structure of nephron and how the mechanism of urine formation occurs in our body. Okay, so purpose of making urine in fact is not the prime purpose. In fact, it is nothing but the purification of blood, and what is the waste produced in that, it is given out in the form of urine. Okay, so urine is the you can say the sap which contain water along with some nitrogenous waste that can be thrown out from our body. Just as CO2 is removed from our blood in the lungs, nitrogenous waste in the form of urea or uric acid, which are actually produced in our liver by the destruction of amino acid in ornithine cycle. This urea, it is dissolved in water which require comparatively less amount of water, and then it is removed in the form of urine. The basic filtration unit, as I told you, is called as nephron. Each kidney consisting about 1.2 millions of nephron. Now structurally, each nephron consisting of terminal Malpighian body and a very long microscopic tubule. Okay, they are called as PCT, loop of Henle, DCT. I will show you the diagram, and in this diagram that I am going to explain you. So these are the structural aspect of the nephron. One is called Malpighian body. Can you see? This particular structure is called from here to here. It is called Malpighian body. Yeah. This Malpighian body consisting two parts. Here the cup-like structure, it is called as Bowman's capsule. Yeah, this cup-like structure is called as Bowman's capsule. It is the terminal most part. Okay, and in the cup-like structure of this Bowman capsule, there is a network of this blood arterial capillaries. You can see here it is a afferent, that means entering renal artery, or it is called as renal arteriole, which is carrying blood, okay, from the renal artery. There are number of branches, they are called as renal afferent arteriole, that are entering into this cup like structure, and here in this cup like structure it is divided and forming a knot like structure, okay, and that is complex network of these blood capillaries. It is called as now glomerulus. What is it called? Glomerulus. Now one more important aspect we have to notice here is that the mouth of afferent arteriole is broader as compared to the blood vessel that comes out of this cup, that is called as efferent. It is called efferent. And if you see the diameter of this afferent arteriole which is coming out, it is narrow as compared to this entering one. And because of these two important aspects, the blood that enters and comes out of this afferent arteriole develops a kind of pressure, and because of that pressure the blood is filtered in this cup and get collected into this particular cup like structure, okay, that we called as Bowman's capsule, and that structure is called, the material is called as filtrate. But importantly we have to understand that in that filtrate, along with the nitrogenous waste, some high threshold substances also get filtered, except RBC, except very complex and bigger molecules of proteins and WBC. The rest of the plasma, rest of the material, it get filtered. Tremendous amount of blood is filtered over here, but in that, along with nitrogenous waste, high threshold substances like glucose, like sodium and potassium ions, then like minerals, then amino acids. So these are useful substances that also get filtered along with tremendous amount of water. Okay, so this is what happens here in the Bowman's capsule in the Malpighian body, we have to understand. After this Malpighian body, the long tubule, for the sake of understanding and study, is divided into three parts. This part is called as PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, because it is highly folded and it is near to the Malpighian body, therefore it is called as proximal, near to. Then it is followed by the U-tube like structure, okay, which passes or which enters into the medulla of kidney. It is called as loop of Henle. Okay, it is, the name is given after the name of scientist, loop of Henle, because loop of Henle plays very important role in maintaining the water concentration in our body. Okay, I will explain you later. And after that there is another part that we called as DCT, distal convoluted tubule. It is also important part in this uriniferous tubule. And then this distal convoluted tubule that connected to a common duct that we called as collecting duct, to which many, you can see from here, so many nephrons they are connected, and what is the product that we call urine form in it, it is then poured into this collecting duct, and that collecting duct that carries the urine and it is given in the ureter after kidney. So that's what we have to understand. These are the parts of the nephron, and we have to understand that how urine formation takes place. In the next slide also we will understand it, but here I want to explain you this particular aspect. Now what happens after the filtration, the big amount of filtrate is then passed through these long tubes. Okay, what is the intention of that? So that when it passes through it, the useful substances must be absorbed. Okay, how they are being absorbed, that we have to understand the mechanism. Try to understand, friend, we have to understand mechanism, and thereby you will come to know that in this mechanism, so this is the diagram you have to also understand in the mechanism of urine formation. Actually, the mechanism of urine formation means it is the excretion. How does it take place? It involves three basic steps. The first step is ultrafiltration. As I explained earlier, that when blood passes into the glomerulus due to pressure, the blood is then filtered into this cup, and this filtrate contain useful as well as nitrogenous waste substances. This we called as ultrafiltration. But large amount of material is then filtered out. There are many useful substances. If that's along with that nitrogenous waste, that useful substances are thrown, our body will dehydrate it within 1 hour. And therefore, there happens a second step that we call selective reabsorption. As I told you that glucose, amino acids, some vitamins and some useful substances and water, when they are passed through this proximal convoluted tubule, they are once again reabsorbed in our body. Okay. Then when this filtrate passes from PCT, most of the glucose, amino acid and useful substances are reabsorbed. That we call as selective reabsorption. And when this filtrate pass through this loop of Henle, which is particularly meant for reabsorbing the water to maintain the water concentration. There's another important aspect we have to understand, friends, here, that the loop of Henle is long in the animals which face the scarcity of water. We can say that xerophytic animals. Okay, the animal that lives in deserts, they are having long loop of Henle. Okay, why? Because this loop of Henle helps to reabsorb excessive amount of water, otherwise which could be lost from this filtrate. So this is the loop of Henle. After loop of Henle, the filtrate now it get concentrated and form the urine, and it passes from DCT. Here is also another important mechanism occurs. Try to understand, friend. In our body, there are certain structures that we called as pituitary gland, which produce one kind of hormone. Okay. And this hormone help to absorb maximum amount of water from this DCT, and then this urine which get concentrated, it is then thrown out from our body. One more important aspect that we have to understand, the third step, is that we call as tubular secretion. You can observe that this efferent arteriole, when it comes out, it divides into number of branches, and all these branches, they cover this particular structure that we called as nephron, or that we called as uriniferous tubule. And when this filtrate then pass into this uriniferous tubule, still some more important sodium ion, potassium ion, certain other ions and some useful substances, they are once again given out to these blood vessels. Okay, so that we called as tubular secretion once again. So in this way, the blood which carries now most useful substances only, and nitrogenous waste, they are given out in the form of urine. This urine then enters into the ureter. From ureter it goes to the urinary bladder, and from urinary bladder it is thrown out from our body through the urethra. So that is what we have to understand. The mechanism of urine formation, the three steps are there: ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption and tubular secretion. We have to understand accordingly. We have to also understand this diagram so that we can draw in your examination and so. Okay. Consequently, with this, we have to understand one more important aspect, that's artificial kidney, that we called as hemodialysis. You know that sometime many persons, they get injured, the kidney get injured, or due to some chronic diseases or renal failures, some people have to go often filtering their blood to remove the nitrogenous waste artificially, and that process is called as hemodialysis, and that structure we called as artificial kidney. So that patient blood is passed through very special type of structure that we called as hemodialyzer, and then that blood removes the nitrogenous waste artificially, and the patient feels it properly. Okay. In a healthy adult, the initial filtrate in the kidney is about 180 liters daily. Try to understand the filtrate that occurs in the Bowman's capsule, that I called as ultrafiltration. But have you noticed that our body is throwing about 180 liters of urine? No, it is just 1 to 2 liters. Why? Because remaining about 178 to 79 liters of filtrate reabsorb. So our kidney is reabsorbing very effectively the useful material, and this is the reason that our body is maintaining the body water and salt concentration effectively. Okay, so sometime the infection, some chronic injuries, some diseases result into the kidney failure, and that is the time where the person has to go for hemodialysis. You know that kidney is our vital organ for survival, and many of the time the kidney failure results into going persons for hemodialysis. You can see here the person, that blood from its arterial system is entering into this hemodialyzer, and then the purified blood comes out. Okay, so what our kidney is doing, this particular tubular structure which is having, I will explain you later. You can see here it is a blood, then here it is a kind of may say solution that is filled in this tube like structure, and here it is a semi permeable membrane. In fact, you can see that the blood passes from various tubular system which is embedded into a solution that is containing concentration equal to the concentration of our blood, but that solution in which these tubes are embedded containing no urea, and therefore when the blood from artery passes into this tubular structure which are made up of semi permeable natural membranes, the urea which is present in high concentration slowly and gradually diffuse. You can see here diffusion. Okay, not 100% urea may be removed, but 90% urea is then diffused in this outermost fluid, we can say, and this fluid then removed. Okay, at the same time this removed fluid that is containing waste, continuously the fresh fluid is being filled up in this unit. From one side blood passes through the tubes, another side this fluid which is, we can say, isotonic solution, it also passes through this tubular structure, and as a result of diffusion, what happens in our kidney, actually artificially it is happening in the hospitals with the help of these hemodialyzers. Okay, so an artificial kidney is a device to remove nitrogenous waste products from the blood through the process we call dialysis, and it consisting the number of tubes which I explained you, that semi-permeable lining, they are suspended in the tank. In that tank is filled with dialyzing fluid. Okay, and what is that dialyzing fluid? It's a kind of fluid having concentration equal to the concentration of blood sap or blood plasma, but it is having no urea, and therefore this fluid that has the same osmotic pressure as I told you, isotonic solution, except that it devoid of the nitrogenous waste. And therefore when the patient's blood is passed through these tubes, during this passage the waste product from the blood pass into the dialyzing fluid by diffusion. The purified blood is then pumped back into the patient's body. So this is the way actually hemodialyzer help the patient to remove the nitrogenous waste. Actually hemodialysis is being done oftenly depending upon the condition of the patient. After this, one more important but very small aspect we have to understand is excretion in plant. Along with you friends, I also have a question that do plants also excrete? Do they also produce nitrogenous waste in their body? Do they also have kidneys and urine and something like? Not in fact. The plants produce certain substances which are not useful to them. Like in case of respiration, CO2 is being produced. Then how this CO2 is given out from the plant? Simple diffusion. As you know that stomata are the minute opening through which CO2 given out from the plant body, it goes to the nature. If we talk about the excess amount of water, there is a process that we call as transpiration. The transpiration also helps in the plant to remove the extra amount of water. Then there are certain waste material may be produced in the plant. They are then collected into the dead tissues. You know that in plant body there are much more dead tissue present in the outer bark. Many parts are there. Then some plant also store some waste material into their cellular vacuoles. You know that in the beginning we have seen last year that the plant cell consisting the central very large big vacuole. The vacuole is a place where that endocellulars have this excretory material being stored. Then sometimes this waste material is also being stored into the leaves, and as the senescence occur, aging occurs of the leaves, and when leaf fall down along with its felling, the waste material is also gone. Then some plants, they store this material into the resins and the gums, especially in the old xylem. It is also being told that there are such substances, they are excreted out by the plants through their roots. So leaves, roots, stored in the bark, stored in the vacuole. The plants use different strategies. The gases like CO2 given out by the simple process of diffusion through stomata. Okay. However, a specialized excretory system is not found in the plant. I am having contradiction about excretion in plant because being a botanist, what I think that many substances, alkaloids, saponin and flavins and other substances, they are present in the plant. They are not waste for them. Actually, they are the strategies to fight with the environmental condition in which the plant survives. But anyhow, in our syllabus, we have to also understand that this raw material or the waste product, the plants get rid from them by the diffusion. They thrown through the roots or the falling of the leaves or stored in the bark or maybe vacuole. This is what the strategy plants are using. Okay, so with this, I think it is all about the excretion. And the last topic of this life processes, friends, you have to understand it. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment. If you like this video, then you click the like button. You please subscribe this channel so that you can also get notifications time to time, so that I can make you warn about the next video and so. Okay, so with this I conclude today. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you.